Good afternoon again, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. We're going back to the JRC here in a moment, but first, the usual disclaimers. First off, folks, if you're not familiar with the Stop the Shocks campaign or the campaign against the troubled teen industry, you're going to find pertinent links in the description box. We have included Autistic Hoya's massive archive on the subject. Folks, that is where we get the bulk of our material on the JRC. So if you want to do any digging in on your own end, that's going to be the link that's going to get you all the receipts. We also have linked in their Neuroplastics article, the one where they interviewed over 800 ABA professionals regarding the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center's so-called behavior modification program. In fact, the exact same one that got so deep under the JRC skin, they actually threatened Neuroplastic with a defamation lawsuit if they did not remove it from the website. Neuroplastic refused, so folks, you know the deal. Read the article, share on all your social media. We also have Neuroplastic's GoFundMe linked in there too, because unlike the JRC, we advocates do not have access to unlimited funds and monies. Trigger warnings when we discuss places like the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center or Agape Boarding School for Boys. You're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips or surveillance footage of people with mental health issues and disabled people being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, please make sure to use the headphones. Also, this channel is marked not for kids for a reason. We use profanity and speak on dark subjects. If your child is 16 and younger and watching this, parental supervision is advised. Alright, so where we left off, let's go ahead and get into it here. I want to crank out just a couple more videos today before we call it a night. Trying a new Mio Black Cherry. It's kind of awesome, not gonna lie. Alright, the less intrusive treatments failed to reduce SIS, SIB, and AB. Okay, gonna restate the obvious. Just because a particular treatment does not include inflicting physical pain on a human being, that does not mean it is not intrusive or invasive. Within ABA, there are multiple invasive and intrusive little things that they do within that program. For example, the one I've been using the most actually, they find out if you've got a favorite thing that you bought yourself. They remove that item from you and then tell you that you have to earn the item you bought by having better behavior. Now, what do they mean by better behavior? They mean masking, kids. That may not be what they call it. Matter of fact, if you pull off a perfect mask, 9 times out of 10, ABA folks usually don't pick up on it. It's very much if, like, your parental things from back in the 90s. You did good, you got an allowance. You didn't do good, you got the bell. Yeah. Explain to me like I'm 5 how that's a treatment program. Yeah. That's what I thought. Stick and carrot, right? Well, guess what? If you are going into my home, removing a thing that I bought myself with money I earned, and then tell me if I want to get it back, I have to act like a performing seal and essentially play act. This bizarre version of so-called neurotypical to your satisfaction in order to receive what was already mine back? That's psychological mindfuckery. Number 2, you just invaded my space without my consent and rearranged my environment without my consent. If you want me to have some behaviors, come into my home unasked, violate my space, and steal my crochet and crochet hooks. Because you're going to learn about some behaviors if you pull that. That is extremely intrusive and invasive, okay? Just because, again, it is not inflicting on me physical harm does not mean that it is not intrusive or invasive, okay? Everybody who works in this field can wrap their brains around this concept, even the ABA who engages with it. They use it as teaching moments. I like to thank God that I'm 40 and I'm stubborn, and I can get a real nasty attitude to the point that it has already been learned that if anybody tries to do teachable moments with me that has to do with any of my treatment team, where that's going to go quickly. But would you show bad behavior? Nah. You're fired. Send me somebody else. I don't have time for theatrics these days. That's what happens when you're still a minor. When you're ahead of your own treatment program, it's a whole different ballgame. Thank God it is, because you have no idea how many people I had dealt with where I knew more about my own diagnosis and how to run my treatment program better than some of the so-called experts I got saddled with until finally. I would say the last 2 couple teams I've had we've been in perfect sync, so beautiful. Much better. But yeah. Calling it less intrusive, trying to use terminology so that people would read their own meaning into what that actually is, does not work with someone who, again, has worked within this field, nor does it work with someone who is extremely familiar with JRC speak. See, JRC speak is different even from what is known as the Golden Standard ABA. And when you go through all of the things that we have, you get a crash course into JRC speak. You have to, because otherwise you would make the assumption that the JRC wants you to make, instead of what they actually mean, which is less intrusive means I don't have you on a human shock collar, deprived you of food, or deprived you of sleep. Okay? It also involves, of course, their bizarre behavioral rehearsal lessons where they will randomly jump you in the halls, pick you up by your shirt collar, haul you up to a wall, and essentially threaten them to provoke a behavior so that you can then punish them for the behavior so they know that it's wrong. That's pretty damn intrusive, if you ask me, as well as batshit insane. Also sounds like one of the worst situations for fuck around and find out on planet Earth. One day, you're gonna do that with the wrong person. But I wanted to point that out because with the JRC, we can't make the usual, normal kind of assumptions with them because their version of less intrusive and what less intrusive actually is are always two very, very different things. Okay? Number 2, to state it for the billionth time. Less intrusive or not, if you do not have a full functional behavioral assessment done, that means there has been zero work done to find the underlying causes, the triggers that are causing the behavior. If you are not dealing with the triggers that are actually producing the behavior, more than likely the behavior is not going to reduce or go away. It's basic logic 101. Well, then why does it happen when it's on the GED device? For the same reason that if somebody punches you in the face and you're in the middle of doing something, you stop everything in that moment. For lack of a better term, the shock from sudden pain being inflicted on you will stop anyone in whatever action they're engaging with after it happens. That doesn't mean, like I've said a million times, that I'll just bring my brother here to live rent-free, so when I'm getting close to a meltdown, he can come out here and punch me in the face to prevent the behavior. You want to know why? Because that's batshit insane. Okay? Inflicting violence to stop me from inflicting violence on myself makes no coherent sense. Because obviously the abuse is still occurring. You have replaced me abusing myself with you abusing me instead. What is that doing? What was gained there? Nothing. But it stopped suddenly. Please rewind this video and listen to that part again. Because it's annoying having to repeat myself. First, ends does not justify the means. Second, corporal punishment is never a solution that should be going on forever. There's a situation where you have to do something to keep other people as well as the students safe. That is one thing. But if that is literally the remedy for every time a behavior that is going to come out, then guess what? You are setting us up for a life of torture and abuse. But then you'll stop having the behaviors. I'm still getting abused, Karen. What is not to get there? Whether I'm doing it or a direct care staff is doing it, it's still happening. Nothing's being gained. There is no solutions. Yeah, it cannot lead to a true quality of life the way you and I would understand what that means. Okay? It can't. The punishment model doesn't work for a reason. Because being punished for behaviors is not going to fix the triggers that cause the behaviors. They're still going to be there. which means eventually they're going to come out again. Well, then you will shock you again. Again, how does this lead to good quality of life? I need one of these assholes to finally be honest with me. Because if I'm getting shocked with enough electricity that it is literally just below the lethal limit, multiple times a day to stop my behaviors, when I could go to a top-notch place like Burl with my crack team. I call them crack team because they are awesome. And we can get to the triggers of what's underlying that behavior. And we can adjust here and there as it may need be as I get better in one place and don't need as many supports, or I've got that part covered and I don't need supports over there anymore, but because I'm aging, now we've got this stuff over here to deal with. You see where I'm going, right? You want results that's going to have any form of longevity. There's not going to be a quick fix. The answer isn't to put us on a human shock collar to be tortured and physically hurt intentionally every single day of our lives and expect for us to, what, you want us to be grateful? Are you smoking crack? No. Deal with the triggers. Find out what they are. Find out what works with each one. Is it reasonable accommodations? Is it self-soothing skills? Do I need a little bit of help with a particular type of social interaction that my brain just can't wrap itself around? And kind of grunting or like hissing like a cat like I used to do in grade school is not going to get the best results. Yeah. It's not quick. It takes years, not seconds, years. But it has long-lived, real results. Whereas with this, as has been noted multiple times, when you take the device off, the behavior returns because the underlying cause was not dealt with or treated seriously. You have this behavior, whack, that will learn you. Wait, I thought that was supposed to learn you. Yeah, not how it works. Okay? If you don't have the full functional behavioral assessment, you don't have all the tools at your disposal to make the best decisions. You're not just sending your kid in there blind. You're sending whatever program they get involved with blind as well. You can't be shocked when that doesn't work, when nobody has the information that they need to be able to do their jobs well. You can't then get so frustrated that you decide the punishment model is the only way and sit there and think that that is going to produce a good quality of life for your kid. Contrary to popular current belief, when it comes to this stuff, there is no quick fix. No, especially not with medication. I can tell you, folks, I think the only medication where I noticed an actual immediate difference and a sense of control back was Paxil. Everything else I've ever taken that was of decent help took time, 2 to 3 months before people started noticing a difference. Makes sense, right? Yeah, we're going to go ahead and continue with that sentence. We'll take care of the last video, and then I'll go ahead and leave you guys for the evening. SAS continued to hit her face and head at a frequency of 700 to 800 times within 8-hour periods. I read it because you are sitting there watching this person hit themselves 700 to 800 times, and your answer is to put them on a human shock collar and push enough electricity to them to be just below the lethal limit, and you are going to call that a win? I don't care how severe you paint the picture, JRC. You are not providing sufficient justification for your monstrous behavior. We're going to go ahead and close out on that one, folks. We don't get very many views on this channel, and the few we do get do tend to get removed from time to time. So please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe. Please don't forget to hit the comments. I appreciate your time. And as always, folks, we here at Spilling Tea hope you have a good one. I got to turn some lights on. I'll be back in a moment. Bye-bye, everyone.